Welcome everyone to Over and Back. Unintentional. I'm with Evan Flood, as always. We do this a few times a year, talk about high school rankings, high school basketball, AU, what have you. Evan, how are you today?
Good. How about you?
I'm all right. We tried to do this last night, had a little snag, so it's a Friday afternoon. You mentioned you got football tonight, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Madison Memorial versus Janesville Parker. Parker's got a 2024 kid. I kind of want to get my eyes on and see if he
Okay.
can.
I
he can
have,
play well in that one.
so obviously you do basketball rankings and stuff like that. Do you do any kind of rankings, or have you thought about doing rankings, football rankings, players, whatever, anything, or no?
So for 24/7 Sports, we obviously do have it broken down by every state. I don't do them like the way I do basketball. Where I go 1, 2, 3, 4. If they need help, they'll reach out to me, and I'll put a rating on a kid, but I'll never necessarily slot him in the whatever spot. So that's why I get out and see. I mean, I try and go around the Midwest for Wisconsin purposes and the guys they're recruiting, but every now and then I'll duck into a in-state guy that maybe won't end up at Wisconsin, just to make sure we got him placed as accurately as possible.
Okay. Do you, I don't follow high school football a ton. Do you know who the best teams are in the states at all?
Yeah, I don't follow it either.
Okay.
I just know the players the Badgers are on, and then outside of that,
I mean, obviously I'm in Kimberly, so I'll keep, Kimberly, I don't play. I don't even know Kimberly plays an Oshkosh team tonight. And I think they're ranked second in the state, I think. But I don't typically know if it's like a good year for football, if it's going to be any good teams or what. So I didn't know if you did, how much involved you were in that. So obviously I know you're involved in Badger football. I just didn't know high school wise.
yeah.
So, all right. So we're going to talk about the rankings, but before we cover the rankings, the last time we talked, we did a state preview of Wisconsin State basketball, high school basketball last year. That would have been in March, right? Yeah. So we haven't talked since then. I don't like to rehash the state playoffs at all based on what happened with Kimberly, but any thoughts? What did you had Falls over Neenah, right? Or no, did you have Falls over De Pere?
I think I had, yeah, I don't know. I think I had De Pere winning it.
Okay.
And then, did I have De Pere winning it all? I might have.
I should have listened to
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember that. And I remember saying something on the lines of picking against Seth Trimble scared me, and I didn't want to do it because I know at any given game, he could just explode. Definitely didn't have Brookfield Central getting there. So
well, you make your free throw.
I might have had De Pere over Neenah. This might have been the way I played it. If that sounds right.
Either way, I don't think we're completely right. I'm sure Neenah's thrilled with that.
Right.
Did you get a chance to see the Neenah Kimberly game?
I didn't. Is that was the one with the finish at the end with the foul or the non-foul? I saw. Yeah.
No. That was when Ice just hit the shot in the corner.
Oh, that was the one before that. I'm talking. Okay.
What was the? Oh no. Yeah. That was the regular.
That was okay.
That was the regular season game. That was the game at Kimberly that Piter fouled. They didn't call it. Yeah.
They got him again at the buzzer.
Yeah. The playoff game was the one that was what Ice hit the three over my son. That's
right.
Yeah. So that's great. I still have not nightmares, but I still wake up in the middle of the night and think about that play and think about that game. I'm not even lying. I'm like, what should have done? Here's what's interesting. I'm going to watch myself still. I watched myself a lot over the last year. I don't have a kid in the basketball program anymore. My kid's gone. I dropped him off at lacrosse on Wednesday. I technically do not have to watch my mouth anymore because I did over the last year. I will.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You did it.
I did it right. And if you know, and you know me a little bit, if you knew me well, it's a big accomplishment that I kept my mouth shut. So we'll see how we can do as these podcasts go forward. But I seriously wake up in the middle of the night thinking about like what we should have done differently on that play and how we could have gotten and whatever. So, yeah. So Neenah beats Brookfield Central in the championship. I think we were all hoping for Neenah Falls at that point, but anyway.
They had them.
Yeah. As far as Falls Central, you make some free throws and that's Falls wins. And then you got yourself and that's a game. I think, when you got to the Final Four, that was what I wanted. I wanted Falls Neenah because they hadn't played.
Right.
We saw Neenah and Central play at, I think they played at Germantown. on a Saturday one day.
Mhm.
I don't know. All these teams look insanely different, which we'll probably touch on a little bit here, but let's get into the 23 rankings. So I'm going to, let me just bring it. Do you have them up? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So when's the last time I mean, I know you updated him last week. When did you update him before that?
I
Do you
would guess
remember?
spring,
Okay,
sometime
so
after
before AU, roughly.
Yeah.
Did anything change in the top 5?
Not the top 3. I bumped Jeremy Lorenz out of Brilliant up to 4. I think he was either at 5 or 6. I thought he was really good in Nike YBL play. He's kind of always been a finesse guy. I think early could get overwhelmed by a lot of those athletes that you're going to face there. I thought he's come a long way in that regard, and that kind of gave me a lot of faith in him as a prospect. And I could still see him going up because of that. I didn't know at the college level. Obviously, he's got a lot of upside, the way he can shoot and handle the ball at his size. Lanky kid that's still not even close to growing into his body. But what showed me that physical nature of being a rim protector or rebounder against those guys, was able to score with his back to the basket and kind of go through their chest. That showed me something. I mean, I still think he's going to be a project at the next level, maybe a guy that takes a year or two to get going, but he's definitely developed a little more grittiness about him, which you don't really see from really prospects of any age. I mean, kind of, you are the way that you are, you're wired the way that you are. And for him to flip a switch like that, I thought was really impressive and kind of earned an extra spot or two.
Did you, I'm assuming you had, Milan was 1 cemented, Johnny 2 cemented, Mac 3 cemented.
Yeah, I don't know if it's as cemented as I thought it was. I think there are a couple guys in the 6-7 range that can catch him too, and it depends how you feel. Marcus Hall, DC Everest blew up over the summer. That was a kid I probably whiffed on early. He's just gotten better and better, and now he's grown up to about 6'8". And Demarion Birch out of Milwaukee Hamilton has landed a handful of Division I offers as well. Those guys, from a talent standpoint, I think you could put them in that top 3, top 4 for sure.
Okay. I don't know Birch. We've talked about Kinzinger plenty of times. I'm assuming did you watch UIBL stuff when they were like Peach Jam?
I didn't watch Peach Jam, but I was at 3 events.
Okay. Obviously he had the really big game against Bronny, which was, kind of all over social media. I don't know. Do you watch TBT? I think we talked about TBT before. So Dan, what the hell is his name? Dakich talked about Kinzinger on one of these TBT broadcasts, which was kind of cool. I was talking with someone about Johnny, and I know one of the knocks, I don't say it's a knock on John, but he's not big, right? He's maybe 6 feet. What do you have? What's he listed at?
For us,
6 feet.
yeah, 6 feet.
Okay.
I might be generous. I don't think he's 5'10" though.
Yeah, and I was talking to some people, and I just said, when does that not matter? Like, when does it just like the kid's a fucking basketball player? Like, he's a really good basketball player, and like, why do we keep on making this excuse? Well, he's not really that. Well, he's only 6 feet. Well, he's only like. And I don't know. I just got to some. I'm like, I'm done with it. Like I compare him to these kids that are 6'4" or whatever. And I'm like, I don't care. He's better. I don't care that he's 6 feet tall. It is not a detriment anymore to him. I think he continues to impress me. And people know I have a history with Johnny. I love Johnny. Love Johnny. His dad, his family's awesome. But I think that kid is so good. And I have decided to just not even worry about how tall he is.
Yeah, I think there's guys like that they're exceptions to the rule, right? I mean,
yeah.
When you can shoot it from 25, 26 feet, your size matters a little less. When you defend the way he does and creates turnovers, he's got great hands and anticipation, and you're not a liability on that end, size doesn't matter. I can see where some schools, may be hesitant. Is he a point guard? He's got point guard size, but not really a point guard. You want him running off screens and catching and shooting. That's where he's going to make his bread and butter. But the reason why I keep him at number 2 is he has played the point guard position exceptionally well and been able to run a show. I mean, he was flirting with triple doubles in
Yeah.
EYBL play.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, he rebounds well for his size and his position. I mean, he was just stuffing the stat sheet. That's why, measurables, I can see why other people would knock him down a couple spots. I'm with you. I just don't care that much. I think he's at this point fairly known commodity, and I have a belief that he's going to produce at the next level with just all the things he can do, and the mental makeup too is different than the other guys lower than him for the most part. I mean, he's a blue collar kid that just works his butt off. You watch him in offense and watch him just constantly run and move. I mean, he's never stagnant. He's never standing there. I mean, he's got to be a pain in the ass to defend. Just the way he can wear people down, and that opens up everything on the floor for everybody else too. So Japair obviously got a chance to win a D1 title with the talent they have. And, I think if I'm like a Will Hornseth or, one of their other guys, they probably love playing with that guy. Just even though he can take a lot of shots, he can open up a lot of things with his passing ability. And then, like I said, just the way he moves is going to take all that attention away from the other guys on their roster.
Yeah. So we might have talked about this in the past because we've done the ranking stuff before, but when you're ranking these guys, because we're in this era, we're in this time frame where a lot of guys are committing, and there's like, you get these people are tweeting, I got this offer, I got this roster spot or whatever. And I have said on my podcast before you and I even started talking, I've done podcasts for years, whatever, just about how I am I'm production over potential guy. Like, I want to see it. Like, I get this potential crap. Like, oh, this kid's 6'8". Let's give him a roster spot. Let's offer him a scholarship, whatever. And it's like, kid's never done anything. Like, why are we giving these kids that haven't done anything roster spots or scholarships? So, and I get, like, as a college recruiter, as a college coach, it's a little bit different. You got to try to project 2 years out. If I work with this kid for 2 years, then maybe he's going to be something, or 3 years or whatever. When you do your rankings, do you take into account any of that? Or is it basically like, this is how these kids are playing, that's how they're ranked?
I try and take it into account. I'm with you. I don't love it. And it's like why I see a guy as Mac Recchi at third, and I have a hard time moving him just because he's been consistent for 3 years and done it. And he's not a guy with a ton of weaknesses in his game. May not be special in any one area, but he shows up every game. And you can go and find a ton of guys with upside, but there will be games where I don't even know they're on the floor. And I get it, from a standpoint, there are a lot of guys in this class and every class that are super exciting and could be home runs, but I still feel like the majority of those boom or bust type prospects don't pan out. And that's why they say potential gets coaches fired.
Yeah.
I think, you're better off giving the benefit of a doubt to a known commodity, somebody what they're going to be. Now, if it's close and I can't decide, obviously you take the upside and you roll with it. But I'm not big on, I'm not knocking anybody in particular, but you see a rankings where, a guy who's never proven it, can get a 4 or 5 star, or, if we're talking about state, be top 5, top 10, even though, if they went head to head against the guys they're ranked with, they'd get killed.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm never going to do. I mean, if you want to be that spot, you got to hold your own against the best in the state. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it.
Yeah. Okay. It's tough for me. And again, I get it. Like, I understand what these college coaches have to do, right? They got to fill their spots. They got to get kids, and I guess, a lot of them are probably looking for, all right, well, this kid's just got this much length or height. Let's bring him in and hope it pans out. I hate it. I don't like it. Like,
Right.
I don't like watching kids that haven't proven a damn thing talk about how they're going to go play college basketball. And it's like, you can't play high school basketball. Like, you haven't played high school basketball. How are you going to play college basketball if you can't get on the floor for high school basketball?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I figured that you didn't, I figured it was a little bit of it, but mostly you got to prove it, obviously, for your list and stuff. Any other movement in the top 10?
I think that's it. I think it's been pretty much the same guys outside the ones I mentioned. Hall and Birch were the two that moved in.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't think anybody moved too much.
Where has Levi Burkholz stuck at 8? Has he been at 8 for a while?
I want to say I've had him as high as 6 at one point. Maybe that was the last update before Hall and Birch kind of emerged for me. I
Okay.
think he's been up there though. I think he's
Okay.
been there.
I like his game. I like his explosiveness, and I mean I try to watch as much as I can on Baller TV and stuff like that, and I've always kind of liked Levi's game. Who I don't know if we just want to go through who jumped the most? Do you know who jumped the most, or who you moved up the most? I think I'm guessing it's someone
I think Emmett Lawton.
Yeah, that was my guess.
Team 1848.
Yeah.
He had a huge July. We had that event in Chicago at the end of the summer, and he was, at least every game I saw, the best player on the floor. And then one of those teams he played had a guy going to Purdue. So I saw flashes of it a year before, and I still didn't think he would climb this high, but he was just so dominant and shot lights out. I mean, he's one of those hands down, man down type players, got the green light every time he touches it. You know, good size, 6'2", 6'3", sneaky athlete too. You can watch him do some things in transition. He's not limited to just being a standstill 3-point shooter. Plays defense too. He gets it done on that end. Obviously takes a lot of pride in what he does there, plays with a certain intensity. So I really like him as a D2 player. And you know, you saw it. He had a bunch of coaches jump in right in after that event. So I think, he was the highest, I would guess.
Okay. Did you know? I don't think we've talked. Did you know he used to be a De Pere kid?
I did not.
Yeah. He used to be a De Pere kid. So imagine if he was on De Pere.
Might not know about him as much.
Yeah. He was.
I mean, I'm sure we would, but
yeah. I mean,
perception of him might be different.
Yeah. I used to coach against Emmett in youth basketball, and it was he was good back then too. So it's like what if they had him? I think he would. Those guys. I mean, you look at if he played in De Pere. I mean, the way Johnny plays and the way Hornseth plays and all those guys, they all fit so well together. None of them are selfish. Like you slide Emmett right in there, they're not gonna miss a beat. Any other big jumps? I'm just going to, and I don't know what you previously had. You know what? I think Austin Hero jumped for you, didn't he?
Yeah, he moved in the spring update.
Okay, so there's more reason when he stayed there.
Yeah, he might have fallen a couple spots too.
Okay. I remember texting you on that first update about it.
He's good. People don't believe it. He didn't play. He came out in that first EYBL event in Louisville that he played in, and he played really well. He didn't finish as well. I didn't see Peach Jam, so I don't know what he did there. The next event I went to, he kind of leveled off.
I'm not going to make this podcast about trashing kids. And technically he's not a kid anymore, but I can give you the stats on how he played at Peach Jam. I will give it to you after the podcast. I've never, and we've talked about this. I am not a fan, and I've talked to this is different kind of levels. I'm not a fan of kids that reclassify. So Austin Hero is a reclassification kid. He should have been in 22. There's actually a bunch of kids in this grade that should have been 22, I think. It just drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. And I know the 22 class had one, Emery Ice from Nina. He was a full year older than those kids too. And I've talked to, and Ice was on Harry's podcast talking about it. And I've talked to Ice's dad about it. Heated discussion about it many times. It drives me nuts. It just drives me nuts. Which is why I texted you about it when I saw the Hero at 25 before. Anyone else move as we're going down, we're in the 20s. AJ Bennett.
Colin Madsen out of Moguanago moved way up.
Where are we at here? What number?
35.
Okay, I don't know him.
He's a nice
breakdown on him.
Yeah, he's 6'4" point guard. So obviously really good positional size, does everything well. Kind of one of those guys you just put the ball in his hands and let him work. He can control an entire game, shoots it well from 3. Obviously, you got I think he's wired like a point guard, but his size and his shooting ability, you can probably put him in any three of the spots. I think he's a guy that could potentially earn a D2 offer here during the season if he hasn't already. I don't necessarily keep up with everybody. I haven't seen that he has, but he was really good at that WBCA shootout when I saw him. He was maybe one of the 2 or 3 best players there in terms of the performances that he had. So he's a guy I've wasn't necessarily high on the first 2 years. Maybe that was just oversight on my part, and didn't pay enough attention to him. But nobody in that event wowed me more than he did.
Okay. As we move on, we're gonna skip someone, and I'm not even gonna mention the name, so we're just gonna go past him. And I know you know who I'm talking about. Anyone else catching your?
I don't.
I love when I put you in these spots and you just have to play along.
I don't know nothing.
I
think that's it as far as top 50. Or no, Max Tutis at 48.
Okay.
Moved up quite a bit. He was good at that WBCA thing too. Doesn't get a ton of shots on that Crusaders team that's just deep in so many parts, and it's like, even Burkholz can have a great game. It's just like, or everybody can kind of chip in like 8 to 10 points on that team. It's so balanced, and I think he comes off the bench for him. But getting to see him in high school and kind of getting a feel for who he really was, I liked him a lot.
I remember coaching against him when in like 4th grade too. He's always been like just a hard-nosed worker player.
Doesn't say a word, just kind of kicks your butt. Back to the other end of the floor. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone outside top 50?
Austin Villarreal, Arrowhead. He's another one that kind of fits the Kinziger, undersized, doesn't look the part, but just keeps showing up. And I think he's going to have a big year for Arrowhead, and could potentially help get them over the hump and get them to Madison with the way he's been shooting it. And just giving them an instant offense production offensively. I saw a lot of their summer games. You never know if it translates to the season and how they're going to play, but there were a lot of games that, it wasn't Mac Recchi, it wasn't Bennett Basich taking over, it was him. So he's really impressed me as well. Solomon Garrison right behind him, Homestead point guard. Again, another undersized kid, but just knows how to play. Maybe the quickest player in the state with the ball in his hands, and a kid that shows up in big moments too. Every time I see him in a close game, I feel like he's the one taking and making those big shots.
Yeah, I saw him in June at a tournament in Kekaunet. I was very, very impressed. I think his shot's kind of streaky. Most of these kids are shot streaky, but when I saw him, he was knocking down threes, and I'm like, well, if that's happening, what the hell are you going to do? Because if you come up on him, he's going right by you. Because like you said, he's insanely quick. I'm assuming you probably, it's not disrespect for anyone who's not in the top 50 or 40, but like, I'm assuming you spend more time on the guys towards the top and the bottom, right? And the bottom, it's just kind of like, all right, we'll just kind of.
I don't know. I think the top's easier to figure out. So maybe I don't. It's like once you get outside, I got so many, how many names I got? So you got 150 names in here ranked.
That's crazy.
And somebody, you don't have to like it. I could get why you don't, but
many people don't like it, Evan, right?
They don't. And I was told to get as many names as I could. So I stop at 150 in every class. Yeah. But I think, if you go to 50 or 75, it doesn't fall off that far, in a class, right? The distance between a guy at, in the 140, 150 range and even like the 70, 80 range is very close.
Yep, totally agree.
So I think there is value in just kind of making sure a kid gets his name on the paper, even though, you may be all the way down at the list. Like I said, I think how I feel about doing rankings. Just because I have you ranked in some certain area doesn't mean a damn thing.
Right.
I could be wrong. I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong on these more than I am right. I think
Yeah.
it's just trying to get you in a right area. You know, if I had my way, I would just break it down by level and just let the chips, fall where they may,
Sure.
high major, mid major, D2, D3, and just kind of do it that way. But yeah, they want names on there. So
Who's they, Evan?
Prep Hoops wants the names on
There
there.
you go.
Names are
Um, well, and I mean, and so much of it depends on what you, right? You might see, did you get that notice on our thing, by the way?
on our what?
We got a Zoom. It says we have 10 minutes. If it cuts out, we'll just break it up and we'll just come back in.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it's supposed to. It's normally if you get, it's whatever. It's all who you see, right? Or what time you see him. Like you might see me and someone looks awesome and you put him in, and then another Prep Hoops writer sees him and it's like, well, I don't know who the hell this kid is at all.
Yeah, there's that too. And so when you get down, especially when so from a time standpoint, I spend more time watching, the top 25, top 50 guys for the most part. And, if you play well, chances are I'm going to come back to see you just to make
Right.
sure. But yeah, I mean, Colin Matson, we talked about might very well fall into the other category of somebody who just didn't play. I think I saw him twice and kind of never really moved the needle for me. And then it probably dogged him, further down than where he belonged, and he kind of fell into that category. I'm sure as somebody that was way overlooked. It can depend on when I see you. But I would say, at least for the top 75 guys, I'm looking at. I mean, there are very few guys on here that I've probably seen once or less. Now
Yeah.
that I think about it, I mean, when you get way down there, then that's probably the ones that more fall into that list. And they're often from obscure areas that I'm just not going to get to during the high school season either, or they play on an AAU team that doesn't play in the circuit I come across, or don't play AAU at all. And, you kind of get beat by that, which is why I always say it's as much as I shouldn't say it. The rankings don't matter. Nobody needs to. I mean, the best thing you can do is just prove me wrong. I mean,
Right.
a college coach is never going to look at these and not recruit somebody because of where you are on this list, or choose another guy that's 2 spots ahead of you. It's never going to work out that way.
Yeah. It's interesting because it's been like this for so long, but it's like the rankings matter. Everyone wants their name on the rankings. Everyone wants to be ranked. Who's number one? And shit, we're doing the podcast right now, but going through rankings of players, and then everything else is rankings don't matter. We don't care about rankings. We don't look about rankings. Doesn't matter. Just, play out, it's always something. It's a back and forth. Right. But I get it. Use that as motivation, right? That's what we've said how many times. Put it on the bulletin board in the locker room, whatever. If you want to be higher, play better,
There you go. The other thing I think people need to understand too is, especially AAU coaches or trainers that get upset, like you're worried about 1 or 2 guys. And so, yeah, that you may be right and they might not be accurately, but it's a lot different when you're worried about 150 or, probably 200 that, you consider putting into the rankings. So just because, I mean, you may know a guy and, watched him develop and think highly of him, but I mean, you're talking about, like I said, a handful of guys that you're worried about on the list and how they stack up. And while their games are going on, other people's games are going on that I'm watching and you're not seeing either. So I'm always open to being wrong. Like I said, they're going to be more wrong than they are right. Probably. I think the best thing you can do is just try and get them at the right tier, right level. But like this is why I don't get on the 24/7 sports guys about their rankings when I feel like a Wisconsin commit is underranked because they're worried about 1,000.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily see what I see when I'm watching every game they play and going over everything. So it's different when you're trying to compare it on a wider scale like that. And I think that's, like I said, the hardest part is you don't get to know these kids as well as the AAU coaches or the trainer, people that consistently get upset about it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's only so much you can see. And, at the end of the day, I've still seen more than they have.
Sure.
So it's hard for me to go, okay, you know more than me. I mean,
Right.
you can't play that card.
Yeah. All right, let's we can wrap up the rankings here. So how many more updates will you have? Trying to think how you did it last year.
I'm done until probably mid-season.
Okay.
I finished the classes.
Okay. Do you ever, I just want to touch on this real quick. So what we're gonna have to do is we got a time thing that's coming up. We'll do a part 1, part 2. So we'll finish up and then we'll jump back in and do a part 2. Do you ever look back? And I think we've compared classes before, but have you ever looked back at rankings like 23 to 22? And we've talked about this over text a little bit, but like, holy crap. Because before we got on here, like the class of 2022 is absolutely loaded.
Yeah, so I haven't a ton, but there are ones that eat away at me. The one that, what was it, 2020?
I think 2022 has the best class depth wise.
Okay.
I think that's I mean,
2018 is the one that ate away at me because I was so close. I didn't actually. No, what? No, they don't have it in here, but I definitely did it.
And I'm not even saying like ones that you were right on or anything like that. I'm just like, if you ever look back and like, God, this class is way better. Or this class is just way deeper. Yeah, 2018's on here. Oh, this is the players found.
Coming up, yeah. I don't know why. I definitely.
Let me just, I'm seeing.
Or am I thinking 26? What year was Jordan McCabe? 2016? No, he was 2018.
Yeah, that might be right.
So that was probably that was my first year doing it.
Okay.
And I'm watching the state title game, and Jordan McCabe was obviously really good at state and beat Milwaukee, Washington. But I had a sense the whole year about Tyrese Halliburton, and I never jumped on it. And I hate myself for it to this. I went up, and I know they're just playing Fond du Lac or something, but I went up there and I was like, oh my God. And this was, before everybody kind of considered him number 4 in the state. And I'm watching him just control the entire game and make it look effortless. And I'm going, oh my God, Wisconsin fans are going to be so angry that they didn't get this guy. They got nothing in that class and that this one got away. And then by his state championship game performance against Brookfield East, I went, yeah, he's number 2. You need to do it. And I didn't have the balls to do it. I should have put him up there. I had Tyler Harrow right. So that makes me feel better, but
so you're saying you have him right based on how things have played out.
Yeah. But even at the time, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton was bigger, better defender, super long. I mean, McCabe, he was also a reclassified kid, so his upside, at the next level is going to be limited. And I also they matched up twice. I think Kakana won the first one. I went to the second one, that North one, and he was better in that one too.
Yeah. And
so I had 3 opportunities to do it and left them at number 4 behind Joey Hauser too.
Oh, that's right. Okay. And we'll get into, we're going to talk in a little bit about high school basketball players, like overall, whatever, but like, yeah, I just wanted, like, I think I texted you once, when Josiah Butler decided he's going to prep school, whatever. So he's 22 kid. I said, where would you have him ranked in the class of 23? And you said top 10, and you might even have him top 5. And I
don't know about top 5 now, but.
And so, because it's my podcast, I always bring up, Owen Polakowski. Owen Polakowski was ranked 32 last year. Where would Owen be in the class of 23? He's top 5. He's top 5.
No.
He's top 5. Who's your 5th player? Cal Klesmet. He's better than Cal. Sorry, Cal. Love you. Owen Polakowski is a better basketball player.
I'd go 8 or 9.
Okay. All right. Owen, did you hear that?
You also said reclassify. He'd be a reclassify too. So by your own standards.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if you could project, year, whatever. But I get that. Yeah, I'm not saying if he whatever. Yeah, you get it's it's just a hypothetical. So, all right, this thing's gonna close. I'll email you a new link to go to the next one. We'll do a part 2. So let's finish part 1. We'll jump back into part 2. We're gonna finish up some AU team stuff. Best high school players in the history of basketball, or history of Wisconsin basketball. We'll be back for part 2.